Far away on the Isle of Pharos, there is a great mountain that rises up into the clouds, where the dragons make their dens, and on warm summer days they soar to the fjords, the cliffs that overlook the western shores. They dance and they play in the morning mist, and people gather from all around. They stand atop the cliffs, and they watch the dragons. But there is one dragon who is not like the others, Fafnie the Dragon. When he flies to the sea, he breathes fire everywhere. He frightens the people. Sometimes he hurls himself down at the ground, crushing everything in his path. On a warm summer day, a farm boy named Ziggy and his dog, Duke, were walking the family cow out to pasture when all of a sudden, Fafnie soared overhead. He breathed a great cloud of fire, rolled upon his back, and came crashing down on the barn, shattering it to splinters. And Ziggy was horrified. What if the cow had been in there? She would have been crushed. Or what if that was the farmhouse? It was time that something was done about Fafnie. There was only one way to handle a bad dragon like him. Ziggy would have to find the sharpest sword in all the land and the bravest steed in all the land, and face the terrible Fafnie in battle. Well, he started by tying the cow to a fence post and making sure that she had plenty of grass to eat. Then he went into the farmhouse and he started looking for a sword. He looked everywhere he could think, under his bed, in the back of his closet, between the cushions of the couches, but no sword was to be found, not a single one. Then he went into the kitchen, and he saw the drawer where his mother kept the sharp kitchen knives. Now Ziggy knew that he was not allowed to touch those knives, for they were very sharp. But he needed a sword, and a sword is really just a large knife. So he climbed atop a stool, he opened up the drawer, and he looked over all those knives. He selected the largest. It had a great wooden handle and a thin, pointy tip. It may not have been the sharpest sword in all the land, but it was certainly the best knife in all the kitchen. Now he needed a brave steed. So he walked outside and he looked around. All he saw was the cow. And she did not look that brave. She just stood there chewing and grazing and grazing and chewing. And suddenly Ziggy heard a He turned just in time to be tackled off his feet. And as Duke licked at his face, Ziggy thought to himself, well, Duke is brave, and he's loyal too. All the things that a knight needs from his trusty steed. So he clipped a leash on Duke's collar. Duke, are you ready to face Fafnie? Grrr! Duke was ready. They set out that very afternoon, climbing up the mountain slope, over wind-swept ridges and jagged crags, till they came to a large, dark cave, where they heard Fafnie's sleeping. They crept into the cave, moving deeper and deeper into the darkness. In the faint light, they could just see the shape of the dragon's head, his long neck curled around, his paws under his chin, his wings against his side. Ziggy crept closer and closer. He clutched the knife tighter and tighter. He plunged it towards the dragon's chest, and there was ow! Hey! Hurt someone with that thing. You're a bad dragon, Fafnie. I've come here to slay you. When you fly to the sea, you breathe fire everywhere. You frighten people. You ruin our houses. Whoa, whoa, said Fafnie. You got it all wrong. I mean, oh, it's true that I fly to the sea. That's what us dragons do. But I have allergies, and the salty air makes me sneeze. And when we dragons sneeze, we breathe fire. I can't help it. Poor dragon. Poor dragon with allergies, thought Ziggy. But what if he was really a bad dragon, and he was lying about his allergies? Ziggy thought, and he had a plan. All right, Fafnie, let's go down to the eastern side of the island and talk. Now, Ziggy knew no one lived on that side of the island. If Fafnie was really a bad dragon who liked hurting people, he'd have no reason to breathe fire over there. But if it really was his allergies, the minute they got near the salty air, he should begin to sneeze. And if what he said was true, when dragons sneeze, they breathe fire. And so together, Fafnie, Ziggy, and Duke went down the eastern slope of the mountain. And sure enough, when they got near the sea, there was and a great cloud of fire. Oh, Fafnie, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I think I know someone who can help. But it was getting late. Ziggy had to get home before his parents started to worry. So he said goodbye, promised to come back the next morning. Then he and Duke hurried home. The next morning, first thing, Ziggy went straight to the local doctor's office, and he told the doctor there was a dragon who needed help. Now, the doctor was not very thrilled at the idea of making a house call to a dragon's den. But Ziggy begged and he pleaded, it's not his fault. He's got allergies. He needs help. At last, the doctor agreed. He put a few things into his bag, and then he followed Ziggy and Duke up the mountain. They climbed over windswept ridges and jagged crags till they came to that large, dark cave where they heard, Fafnie, Fafnie, wake up! I brought someone to help you. Fafnie crawled out of his den. He stretched and he yawned. He saw the doctor and he gasped. He was nervous. He'd never been to the doctor's before. But he agreed to lie still and let the doctor look him over. Well, the doctor started by taking his temperature, for that is what all doctors do. It was a blazing 960 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's normal for a dragon. Then the doctor looked in his mouth, listened to his heart, listened to his lungs. Well, Fafnie, you seem to be a healthy dragon for your height and weight, although you could use some more vegetables in your diet. Now, Ziggy tells me you have some allergy troubles. The doctor reached into his bag. He had a bottle of sea salt. He popped off the stopper, reached in with a pair of tongs and held it out. There was a great cloud of fire. Oh, goodness gracious. We'll have to get you started on some medicine right away, said the doctor. The doctor wrote out a prescription, and the very next day, Fafnie began taking his medication, and soon enough, his allergies cleared up. He could soar to the fjords, the cliffs that overlooked the western shore. He could dance and play with the other dragons without so much as a sniffle. But Fafnie felt bad. Ziggy had done so much to help him, and he had ruined Ziggy's barn. There was only one thing he could do. He went into the deepest, the darkest forest, and he used his tail to chop down some trees. He split them up into lumber, and he carried all that wood to Ziggy's house, and together they rebuilt the barn. To this day, Fafnie still takes his medicine, and every now and then he gives Ziggy a ride. So if you ever go to the Isle of Pharos, go to the fjords, the cliffs that overlook the western shore, for you just might catch a glimpse of Fafnie dancing in the mist, or hear laughter on the breeze. Fafnie the Dragon. Thank you. Thank you very much.